UFC 296. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. I'm really looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. The final UFC weigh-in recap show of 2023. I really appreciate everybody who's tuned into these weigh-in recap shows each and every week for the UFC this year. I'll be bringing the heat in 2024. I'm not going to be contentless though, so if you like the content here, keep your eyes peeled on the channel. I'll be doing live streams and creative content and news reactions too throughout the UFC off weeks. So if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, turn those post notifications on too. And if you really enjoy the content, share the video as well. Also note, I'm live for the entire UFC 296 fight card with a banger fight companion this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Do not miss the fight companion. It's the last one for the UFC of 2023, and we're sending it off with an absolute bang. So without further ado, let's get into the first fight on the card. It's Shamil Gaziev versus Martin Buday. I'm picking Shamil Gaziev. If Gaziev loses this fight, we might as well just cut him from the roster already because of his hopes of being a contender are gone. I really think he should beat Martin Buday here. Buday's got a nice UFC record on paper, but I can never get that Lukas Dreshki fight out of my mind where he clearly lost but won a controversial decision. He looked horrible in that fight, but then he had in his last outing a dominant win over Josh Parisian, who's one of the worst heavyweights on the roster though. Shamil Gaziev should be able to control Buday on the ground and even potentially stun him on the feet. Gaziev definitely has the more dangerous hands here. Superior wrestling and grappling, absolutely. I'm repping Bahrain. I'm going Gaziev. We're going with the EV to start the night off, and he's an underdog. But let's look at the scales and check these guys out. We'll look at the official scales, and then I'll have the face-off from the ceremonials. All right. So on the scale here, we have Shamil Gaziev. I mean, he looks decent. He looks like Gaziev normally does. And then we have Martin Buday on the other side. He's always had kind of a weird frame and an awkward torso with like a really tucked in stomach. You'll see it when I show the face off here. But, you know, if you've seen him fight before, you know he's got a little bit of an unaesthetic physique. Neither of these guys are stepping on a bodybuilding stage during the UFC off weeks. They're big boys. They're thick. Gaziev, I think, is the better fighter. Like, look at that odd physique. That's a weird look. Buday has always had that weird stomach and chest, man. But you know what? It works well against opposition that he can overpower, because I can imagine it feels like a fucking awkward cinder block on top. But he's not getting on top and bullying Gaziev here. Gaziev is going to be superior on the ground, and I think he has better hands. I'm going Gaziev for the finish. Now, method of victory-wise, I think there's a chance that Gaziev has him in mount and ends up ground and pounding him. I could also see Gaziev locking up a choke. Looking at the money line odds, Gaziev is an ever so slight underdog at plus 103. The line has definitely come down. A lot of money on Gaziev. I think the win by sub is interesting though, because it's plus 550 for Gaziev to win by sub. I know knockout is there at plus 215, but how I'm looking at it, if you're betting this fight, I personally like more on the money line, right? And then a lighter attack on the Gaziev submission side for the big plus money, because I think he has the potential to win by submission here. We're going Gaziev to start the night off by sub. I don't really like the over-under here. I like money line Gaziev, sub prop. The knockout prop is there at plus 275. If you want to touch it, it is possible. I could see him getting a TKO win or even potentially knocking Buday out. But the plus money on the possibility of submission, prop betting wise, makes sense to me. Money line though, A1 bet, top tier. Gaziev for the finish to start the night off. Let's keep on running up this UFC 296 card. Next fight on it, we have Andre Fili versus Lucas Almeida. I'm picking Andre Fili to win. I believe as though Lucas Almeida has good Muay Thai, but does significantly lack a ground game. With Pat Sabatini, he got absolutely exposed on the floor. I know that Andre Fili is not as top heavy and as successful with the chain wrestling attack potentially as a Pat Sabatini, but he trains at Team Alpha Male. I could definitely see him going to the well with takedowns, giving Lucas Almeida difficulty with a mixed attack of striking and grappling, and Fili getting it done on the card. So my official prediction is going to be Andre Touchy Fili to win a decision. We'll check them out on the scales. Don't expect a significant change here. There is Lucas Almeida. For a second, he looked like Hanato Moicano as I was scrolling down. He's definitely got a good weight cut that he's pulling off of this. Then we got Andre Fili, inked up, longtime UFC veteran at this point, and a difficult guy to beat, especially finish. Like, yeah, he's been finished before, but by no means would you call Fili a chinny fighter or easy to submit. There's the face-off, nose to nose. It was very intense. No handshake, actually, by Almeida. Fili went out for it. Almeida stared him down, was like, nah, we ain't handshaking. Fili, I think, is going to take the win on the cards. I see it being a pretty decent fight. I think that Almeida could be dangerous and close with his Muay Thai, elbows and knees. But Fili, I feel like, has faster boxing and better kicks from the outside. On top of that, I do see a grappling advantage. So we're going to go Fili to win a decision here. It was pretty close with Nathaniel Wood last time out as well, and has a win over Bill Algeo. Looking at the odds, Fili is a favorite, minus 154 as the favorite, to Lucas Almeida at plus 134 as a dog. What's interesting is this fight is not expected to go long. It's plus 125 for the over 2.5, but I feel like this fight's going to end up going decision. I'm picking Fili on the cards. Fili to win by a decision, plus 225. Definitely not as excited about this betting spot as I would be like with Gaziev last time out at underdog status, but I think Fili wins. And looking at degeneracy, Fili by sub is 6-1 at plus 600. And I think he'd probably be more likely to win by sub over Almeida than knock him out. So we'll go Fili win by decision officially, though, as the prediction for our second fight of the night. Next fight on the card, we have Tagir Ulanbekov versus Cody Durden. Guys, I'm picking Tagir Ulanbekov, and I called him the lock this week. I'm riding with flyweight. I'm confident in my flyweight calls. I think Ulanbekov can get Cody Durden's neck and strangle him. I also think Ulanbekov could be successful in the kickboxing here. Ulanbekov, for the most part, is overlooked constantly and is considered the runt of the Dagestani litter. At the end of the day, I mean, his loss to what? Tim Elliott in the UFC that was competitive and slightly controversial with a lot of infringements of the rules by Elliott. It's not really a horrible loss to have. I think Ulanbekov's a pretty good fighter. With his 2 losses are questionable losses. He could easily be 16-0, and I think the hype would be in another direction if for, points going one way or the other with different judges. I feel like Durden is a solid fighter, and he's always a fun underdog to bet, and I've picked him a lot in the past, and I've locked Durden in the past, but I'm locking against him. I'm going to call Ulanbekov by submission. I think Durden is susceptible to getting caught in a guillotine choke, and then I also think Ulanbekov has the better wrestling. I'm going with Team Dagestan. I'm going with Tagir Ulanbekov to get the win here in our third fight of the night. Let's look at the scales, though. Cody Durden, excited, happy to be there, representing Team USA. There's Ulanbekov. He kind of looks like Pinocchio, in all honesty. But hey, I'm riding with fucking Pinocchio to get the win. It's all good. Let's check out the actual face-off between these two. It was actually disappointing. Ulanbekov, he threw the shirt on, and we're not going to see a frame-by-frame comparison of the physiques, but I would say fairly similar as far as the muscularity. What you can see is Ulanbekov a little bit taller, and I do think he's going to end up getting the win. I'm going Ulanbekov to catch Cody Durden in a guillotine choke for the Mystic Mac call, but Ulanbekov nonetheless the win. And looking at the betting lines, he is minus 161, the favorite, with Cody Durden a plus 141 underdog. I am predicting a sub for Ulanbekov. That line is sitting at plus 275 and also an under 2.5 rounds at plus 190. I think Ulanbekov snags a neck. We're going Ulanbekov by strangle in this fight. I see him pulling it off. I think he can beat Cody Durden. They're listed at the same height. They're not. You saw that when they faced off. And reach advantage, too, for Ulanbekov. He does have, like, skinny, long arms, which, if you've done some jits, you know. Those skinny, long arm motherfuckers are good at strangling people. Now, add on top of that Cody Durden, when shooting takedowns, specifically double legs, at times leaves it out there. I think a guy like Ulanbekov would absolutely capitalize on that mistake. So Ulanbekov win by submission. Next fight on the card, we got Casey O'Neill versus Ariane Lipski. I've been picking Ariane Lipski throughout the week, and I'd say this is not a super popular prediction because Casey O'Neill, when she's on point with her wrestling, would give a lot of difficulty to Lipski. The big question here is simple. Is Lipski's grappling defense evolved enough so where she can strike with Casey O'Neill? Because she will shine for sure in the striking department. I'm going to ride with Lipski to get a decision. I do think it's a dangerous fight betting-wise. Now, you're looking at plus money on the Lipski side, which, you know, it's better than betting her at minus 200 with O'Neill sitting around minus 200. Looking at the scales between these ladies, it's not going to tell us a ton of the story here. Ultimately, the story is, can Lipski stay on her feet? And if she can, she's the quicker and more dangerous striker. There is Lipski. There is Casey O'Neill. Let's see what O'Neill brings. I think she kind of got rushed up the ranks a little bit and then ran into Jennifer Maia and lost. Now she's taking on, you know, more mid-tier opposition here with Lipski, but the styles make the fight. And I think Lipski's stand-up is definitely superior. It was an intense face-off between these two. Casey O'Neill came darting in to stare down Ariane Lipski. She had a pretty intense energy about her at the weigh-ins. She's going to look to wrestle. She has to look to wrestle. But I think that the side of Lipski is going to be pretty adamant about keeping it on the feet, and I see takedown defense holding up. I'm going to go Lipski to win a decision. I'm going to ride with her. I'm going with an underdog in this fight. Women's fight, dog, never a horrible call. It's actually plus 170 now for Lipski to get the win, with Casey O'Neill as a minus 200 favorite. I don't think O'Neill should be this big of a favorite in this spot at minus 200. I could see more like a minus 170 making sense, but I got her as a good size favorite. Over 2.5 probably at minus 200, but if O'Neill is successful in the grappling and Lipski shits the bed on the floor, I could see ground and pound. Lipski to win by decision, not interested in the betting side of it, but I'll mention it, plus 235. O'Neill by sub, plus 575. Lipski by sub is plus 1,600. Can you imagine she locked up a sub? Very unlikely. Never impossible, but very unlikely. Lipski money line, if you're betting it, would be the best call here for me in this fight. So I am picking Lipski as a dog in this ladies matchup. Next fight on the card, we have Cody No Love Garbrandt versus Brian Boom Kelleher. Here comes the boom. I've been riding with Brian Kelleher because I believe Cody Garbrandt's best days are behind him. I felt as though even heading into the Trevin Jones fight that we had a deteriorated version of Cody Garbrandt. Now, ultimately, I picked against Cody with Trevin Jones, and that did not age well because Cody Garbrandt got a clean decision win. Brian Kelleher is not Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones is no longer in the UFC. Kelleher is a pretty dangerous journeyman / gatekeeper in the back end of the UFC bantamweight division, but he has fought pretty good opposition. Names like Marlon Chito Vera, Ricky Simone, even Jimmy Rivera outside of the UFC. As of recent, Umar Nurmagomedov, Mario Batista. Now, all of those names are losses, but he does have one win that absolutely stands out, and that's a victory over Renan Barão, the former bantamweight champion. Now, I might be a little bit superstitious. He has a win over Barão, the former bantamweight champion, who had his career significantly deteriorated in a loss to who? TJ Dillashaw. Twice to TJ Dillashaw, who also had 2 losses to TJ Dillashaw in championship fights, Cody No Love Garbrandt, and he has dwindled downward in his career. You look at recent fights for him. Yes, he won against Trevin Jones, but he was gun shy, and I think fearful of getting hit in that fight, which I hated. Fight before that, Kai Kara-France destroyed him 2 years ago. Fight before that, Rob Font jabbed his face off for 3. And then looking at the Asuncao fight, I believe was that Rob Font fight 5 rounds? I think it was 5 rounds. I think it wasn't 3. 3 or 5 regardless. I think it was 5. Now I got to double check. You guys got me curious. Did Cody get his face jabbed off for 5 or 3? Let's double check. It was 5 rounds. I had a feeling. He got outboxed for 5. And then look at the fight before that. Asuncao, he did knock out cleanly. That's 3.5 years ago now. Cody Garbrandt has not had an impressive win in 3.5 years. Now, Brian Kelleher is not a world beater, and he's not beating these high-level opposition fighters. Kevin Kroom, Domingo Pelarte, neither guy still with the promotion. Kevin Kroom in BKFC, though, give him some respect. I'm picking Boom Kelleher to upset Cody Garbrandt and knock him out because I believe he'll fight confidently, come forward, look to engage, and not fear even trying to attempt takedowns here. He's not going to be gun shy like a Trevin Jones. And I see Cody Garbrandt walking into something big and being knocked out. I believe the chin is gone. We're riding with Brian Kelleher. Looking at the scales between these fighters. Let's scroll down to him. There is Brian Kelleher in very good shape, on point. Did have a neck injury, but is back from that. I think he's going to be back looking smooth. There's Cody Garbrandt. Looks reminiscent of his old self, but I don't see that same Pitbull that he once was. I just don't. Let's pull up the actual face-off between these two. Worst haircut of the night definitely goes to Brian Kelleher. Nice fade on the side of Garbrandt. Respectable face-off. I think Brian Kelleher is confident. He's beaten a former bantamweight champion before. Why couldn't it happen again? I'm going Brian Boom Kelleher. I'm going upset in this fight. Looking at the odds, money line odds here have Kelleher at plus 155 with Cody Garbrandt at minus 180. And then looking at Kelleher to get a KO win that sits at plus 375. I think that's very possible. I think it's a real possibility Cody's chin deteriorated more and he gets caught clean by Brian Kelleher and gets dropped, knocked out. I believe there's been a downfall for Cody Garbrandt. He's had a lot of knockout losses. He's taken a lot of damage throughout his career. And Brian Kelleher, tricky journeyman to deal with. This type of timing for the matchup is when a Kelleher wins. Yeah, in his prime, Cody Garbrandt dusts Brian Kelleher. But I don't think we're looking at a prime Cody Garbrandt anymore. I think we're looking at a significantly worse version of himself. So I'm going Brian Kelleher for the upset knockout. Next fight on the card, it brings us to our ladies matchup in the bantamweight division. Irene Aldana versus Karol Rosa. I've been picking Irene Aldana to win, and I believe she could be live for the knockout. She's pretty heavy-handed. She's the bigger girl here too, and I've also never been overly enthused about Karol Rosa's performances. There is Rosa on the scale, nothing crazy to talk about. Aldana did need the box to come out, but that was because, she's a big girl. She's cutting a little bit of extra weight. Let's check these two staring each other down out real quick. Let's pull it up. All right, stare down between the two of them. Boom. There it is. It was pretty intense. You see a little size advantage for Aldana. You actually watched the video. I don't know. She appeared bigger as they stood next to each other than in this picture here. I think Aldana could end up knocking her out. I believe her hands are pretty powerful. And then when you look at on the ground, I think Aldana would hold up well with Rosa. The official prediction has been Aldana to win a decision, but she is heavy-handed, and there's always a knockout possibility with her. She knocked out Ketlin Vieira. She knocked out Yana Santos. Definitely no impossibility of a knockout for her here. Do think she's definitely the better fighter. She's a minus 175 favorite, and then Karol Rosa is a plus 150 underdog. Looking at Aldana to get the win by a decision, it's only plus 105. But when you look at Aldana by KO, you do got plus 425. A lot juicier. And her hands are heavy. She could end up pulling a knockout. I think she should get the win. Now, I know that, some statistics that might stand against her would be the age, right? 28 to 35. But there's a good amount of, height advantage towards Aldana. She's the bigger girl. I think she's more powerful with the hands. I've never been impressed with Karol Rosa. I feel pretty good about Aldana getting a victory here. So Aldana the pick in this fight. Looking to bounce back from the Amanda Nunes loss. Next fight is our featured prelim of the night here. We have Alonzo Menifield versus Dustin Jacoby. I have been picking Dustin Jacoby. I think he gets a pretty clean win. He's a significantly better technical striker, former Glory kickboxer. And then on the other side, Alonzo Menifield definitely has punching power, and he's an explosive guy that's very strong, but he lacks in the technical tools. He is actually the older guy too, interestingly enough. I feel like Menifield seems like he'd be the younger prospect against the veteran here with Jacoby. Nonetheless, I think Jacoby's kickboxing shines. Does have a loss recently to Khalil Roundtree, and that's aged really well because Roundtree's now scheduled to fight Alexander Rakic in 2024, and that's a major spot. And you know what? A lot of people, even me included, I'll admit, thought Jacoby could have got that decision. He probably could have. It was competitive, but he might have had it by a bit. But I picked Khalil Roundtree that night. Now, Dustin Jacoby, last time, I called him against Nzechukwu. We knocked him out. I'm calling him again here against Menifield. I'm saying he knocks him out as well. Let's check these two out on the scale. Let's check these savages out. There is Dustin Jacoby on the scale. Front double bicep. Looks ready to kill. There is Alonzo Menifield. He's jacked, though. I got to give him credit. He looks in very good shape. I mean, he always does, though. But he's definitely coming to win. Menifield's a tough guy. He's more of a physical force to be reckoned with as opposed to like his technical skill. Now, he's got the Fresh Prince flat top and a half. He's got the Mohawk high fade, which is a very interesting look, man. It looks like a created fighter's haircut from UFC 5 or something like that. I think Jacoby's going to outstrike him. I think he ends up knocking him out. Now, I got to say, though, I like Menifield bringing a heat look because this is a major spot, the final card of 2023. You capitalize with a big knockout win with that haircut. Maybe you're on ESPN or SportsCenter. But ultimately, Jacoby's better. So Jacoby's going to be the prediction, regardless of the cool hair for Alonzo Menifield. Now, looking at the odds for the fight, Menifield is a plus 230 underdog. On the other side, Dustin Jacoby is a minus 270 favorite. I'm pretty damn confident Jacoby's going to end up knocking him out. The better technical kickboxer. He'll touch him and hurt him. And I think he can put his lights out. Jacoby KO is plus 165. Menifield by knockout plus 450. It'd be pretty crazy if Menifield knocked out Dustin Jacoby. If he beats the Glory Kickboxer, if Menifield knocks out Jacoby, doing what Khalil Roundtree could not, and even Azamat Murzakanov, you know, what was that last fight? He ended up losing a decision 2 fights ago against Murzakanov, who is, I would say, a pretty technical masterpiece. That'd be insane. I don't see it. Jacoby's going to win, guys. Jacoby for the victory. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. I've been picking Bryce Mitchell to win. Now, when you see him on the scales, you'll be probably tempted a bit to call Josh Emmett for an upset because he's absolutely jacked. And Bryce Mitchell has a pretty average build to him. But we know Mitchell's very strong on the ground. He's got very good positional knowledge and control. He's got nice takedowns. I don't think he's a bad striker. He's also pretty tough. Took some big shots against Danny Ige and was able to, get a competitive win. Mitchell's coming in on short notice, but note that Josh Emmett was out there preparing for a kickboxer, a championship level kickboxer, Giga Chikadze. Then they give him a short notice replacement who is quite the opposite. Also 9 years younger is Bryce Mitchell. I see it like this. Josh Emmett already had his title shot. He's had his run. He's going this way. Bryce Mitchell is peaking now, and he's entering his prime at this moment. I'm going to call Bryce Mitchell to win. I think the grappling will be the ultimate difference maker, and I'll say that he gets it done here. Check out the scales between these two. There is Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell with the shades on. Looking like Mr. Intellectual over here with the shades. Rather with the glasses, excuse me. Kind of nerdy look, man. Then we got Josh Emmett. Like I said, absolutely jacked. But physique here in this fight, I don't think is the biggest factor. We know Josh Emmett is a power puncher. And if Bryce Mitchell is careless on the feet, absolutely could get caught with something big. But I feel like he'll hold up. I feel like he'll hold up well. Looking for this face-off picture for our guy here. We got to find Thug Nasty in here. There we go. We got him now. We got him. Boom. There he is. Thug Nasty and Josh Emmett facing off. Nothing crazy from the face-off. It doesn't change much. Depends which side of the fence you're on. Do you think that Bryce Mitchell will be able to take Josh Emmett down and use his superior jiu-jitsu? Or do you think that Bryce Mitchell's going to struggle grappling and get his face punched off by the heavy-handed Josh Emmett? I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell. Minus 240, though. I don't really like the betting side all that much Josh Emmett plus 205, minus 240. It's an uglier line, 100%, especially for a short notice guy. We are probably going over 1.5 though at minus 260. Bryce Mitchell to win by decision is plus 115. Submission is plus 300. It's not even a good line on sub. The betting is not all that appealing for this fight, in my opinion. I think this is one you sit down and watch this main card opener and enjoy yourself, man. This is not a fight that I'm all over, betting-wise especially. If it was closer, if the lines were more like minus 155, I think I'd consider Thug Nasty as a decent money line. But he becomes a risky parlay piece, or if you're really hitting a hard money line, it's more risky than the actual tag has it sitting at, which I don't like personally. So Bryce Mitchell, though, is the prediction. I do expect him to get a hard-fought win. I'll say he grabs a decision over Josh Emmett in this fight. Let's keep on running up. Next fight on the card, we have Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. I've been picking Paddy Pimblett throughout the week, but Tony Ferguson has sold me well on himself. He said the right things at media day. He seems like he's dialed into fighting more than he has been for some recent bouts. And when he is dialed into fighting, he's incredibly dangerous. The odds don't reflect the reality of this matchup here. Tony Ferguson might be on a bad losing streak, but Paddy Pimblett has not proven himself in the upper echelon of MMA whatsoever. T-Ferg, who's on point, motivated, in the right shape, and most importantly, in the right headspace, is a terrifying force. And if you watch his media day interview about his wife texting him, he doesn't smile anymore when he's training, and he didn't know how to react, right? He didn't know what to reply. It seems like he found his answer. Now, was the Hell Week with David Goggins the answer? Maybe. We're going to check them out on the scales. If you watched Late Night Live yesterday, you could kind of get a feeling that I'm contemplating believing in T-Ferg one last time here. There's Paddy the Baddy, who does look in great shape and ready to go. Has a lot to prove against Tony Ferguson, who is a legend of the game. There's Tony Ferguson, who definitely looks in better shape than he has in probably the last two. But still, nonetheless, this is not prime T-Ferg. We see a lot of grays. He said the right things. He seems in the right headspace. But my big worry is, does the body carry over? Does the body move like it once did? I'll be honest, guys. If Tony Ferguson doesn't do his legendary pre-fight little, shoot takedowns, how he does it, the knee slides. If he doesn't do it, you better live bet the hell out of the other side. Then we got the face-off. I felt like later on in the week that this fight's seeming a lot more like a 50-50. Is old man T-Ferg got enough to beat Paddy chin up in the air Pimblett? Oh my God. It's the last card of 2023, and I think I'm going to rely a little bit on instincts here. I'm going to pick Tony Ferguson. I'm going to flip. Now, if you watch me on Sunday, my full card predictions, okay? That guy on Sunday is telling you, don't listen to me right now. Stick with the technical breakdown. Things get emotional. Things get, kind of crazy when the weigh-ins happen, and occasionally I pick flip, and I won't lie to you. There's been some legendary pick flips, but there's definitely been some more horrible pick flips. This one here could age horribly. Might age tremendously. But I'm looking at a matchup where I think Tony might win. I'm kind of seeing Tony by sub. I'm seeing Tony landing elbows inside. I'm seeing Tony hurting Paddy Pimblett, whose chin's up high and shocking everybody. I'm going to go Tony Ferguson. I'm going against the grain. I'm going with my feelings in this one here. I'm going against what I saw on Sunday with the full card predictions, and I'm picking old man T-Ferg. One last dance. I'd rather be wrong at this point. And the odds are getting wider. Plus 280 for Tony Ferguson. He's a huge underdog. Now, cautionary tale. Just because I'm pick flipping, I'm not telling you go out and bet the life on Tony Ferguson, okay? You want to throw something down on it, that's your business. It's something that's possible, right? The matchup, odds-wise, minus 340 Paddy Pimblett is not accurate. I think the Pantoja Royval minus 185 plus 160, that's the reality of this matchup. Tony Ferguson is absolutely live as an underdog here. He had moments against Michael Chandler and Bobby Green. And if he can have moments here, he's dealing with a guy that I don't think is nearly as dangerous punching and kicking wise as Michael Chandler. On the ground, he has slicker jiu-jitsu than a Bobby Green, but he doesn't have the same physicality. and he hasn't proven anything at the highest level of the game. Let's go T-Ferg. Let's spice things up, guys. You know what? If I am fumbling on this one with the T-Ferg pick, I'll eat it on the chin. I'm going T-Ferg. I'm going against the grain. I'm doing it. Fuck it. I got a pick flip. It had to happen. I'm going Tony Ferguson right now. T-Ferg for the W. He takes out Paddy the Baddy here. I'm going with it. He sounded good. He sold me. He's told me the right things. Last time when he fought, I remember thinking, man, he's talking about Harvard and doctorates. That's his focus. Fighting seems like his focus again. It's a dangerous recipe for a guy that might be pretty overrated in Paddy Pimblett. So give me Tony Ferguson. Pick flip here. Featured bout of the night. We got Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I have been picking Shavkat Rakhmonov throughout the week. I'm going to spoil it right here. No, I won't be pick flipping anything. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to pressure Wonderboy, and I do think he's going to end up winning this fight by submission, but it's not that he can't strike with Wonderboy. When he puts pressure on Wonderboy, gets him backing up, especially near the cage, I do think Shavkat lets some pretty good punches go. He's going to be able to touch up Wonderboy in the boxing range, and Wonderboy is going to be looking to move all night long, but I don't think he has that for this fight. I don't think he can style on Shavkat for 3 rounds. I think there's real potential. Shavkat gets a hold of him and does drag him to the floor. And that's where Shavkat's going to shine. Shavkat is 17-0 with every win by finish. I'm going to predict that Shavkat Rakhmonov finishes Wonderboy, win by submission in this fight. We're going for Shavkat still. No change in my confidence throughout the week. And I love Wonderboy. I think Wonderboy is a gem to society, but I'm picking the fight and I'm picking it as I see it. I do think Wonderboy loses here. There's Wonderboy who at nearly 41 looks awesome. There's Shavkat, up and coming guy, 17-0, terrifying future contender, Kazakhstan's own. Kazakhstan, greatest country in the world. Listen, I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited for Shavkat from Kazakhstan, bro. He's the most famous guy from Kazakhstan since Borat. And I think he's going to go out there and put a beating on Wonderboy. That's what I see. I think he represents himself well. He's the guy right now. I believe in him, man. And I want to see him in a fight with Bilal or even a fight for the world title. Shavkat, I know he doesn't speak any English, so it limits his marketability with the casual American fans. But if he goes out there and puts on a great fight and whoops Wonderboy's ass, he'll get more people tuning in, for sure. So the pick, Shavkat Rakhmonov to get the win. He's going to smash the guy. Very nice. Very nice. All right, looking at the odds, minus 600. Oh my gosh, minus 600. You ain't betting money line Shavkat, but he's going to win. Plus 425, Wonderboy. Under 2.5, minus 200. Shavkat by submission is only plus 120, but I'm going to predict that Shavkat wins by sub. Yeah, Shavkat Rakhmonov to get it done. I remember when he came in to fight Alex Oliveira as like this unknown guy, and then I'm locking up a sub, and he was an underdog actually in that spot, and I picked him there some fucking time ago now, and look at him emerging as a top contender. I think Shavkat beats Wonderboy submission. I think he'll strangle him, and I feel like we're looking at a legit threat to the welterweight title. Let's jump to the co-main event of the evening. Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval 2. I think it's going to be a really fun rematch between these two fighters, but nothing is shifting my prediction. I think that Alexandre Pantoja beats him a second time. With a guy like Royval, you need to be very cautious in the striking especially, but even in the grappling, because he's going to scramble for all different types of subs. But specifically the striking, because the chaos factor, knees, elbows, kind of like you're stepping into a tornado when you're fighting him. Pantoja, very durable. Beaten him once before, which I like a lot. And I do believe Pantoja is going to neutralize the chaos and win by submission once again. I think it's a round later this time. I'll go third round, but he could be live to win in the first round by sub. Pantoja's jiu-jitsu is extremely dangerous, and he's excellent at taking backs and winning by rear naked choke, too. He did it to freaking Royval already, and I think he's going to do it again. He's going to control the chaos. There is Royval on the scale. And then there is Alexandre Pantoja. And let's check this out here. All right, let's pull up the face-off between these two savages. Bada bang, bada boom. There it is. There's the face-off, the rematch. The fight that's flown under the radar all week because flyweight always flies under the radar. But I promise you, when you actually see this fight, you're going to love it. This is going to be a banger. Flyweight delivers at the highest level without a damn doubt. Even at lower levels, flyweight is always very fun. But like the hype pre-fight is not always that great. Doesn't matter here because what's actually going to happen in the cage is going to be a lot of fun. We're going with the side of Pantoja to get the win. Looking at the betting odds, Alexandre Pantoja is minus 185. I do think he wins, minus 185. Royval, plus 159. I see Pantoja beating him again. Minus 185 is actually not a horrible tag for a guy that already has a second round sub win over his opponent. Pantoja by sub for a rinse and repeat. We got plus 150. I will predict that he gets the submission, man. The way that Royval fights too, it's kill or be killed. And I think with a guy like Pantoja that's very durable, that style just gets you finished. So I'm going Pantoja once again to win by sub and still flyweight champ. Now it's time for the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We have Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. After the press conference, I was all over the place. If you were watching Late Night Live last night, you saw me like scrambling and sitting there thinking, damn, am I flipping the pick? So I'll tell you, if you don't know, throughout the week, I have been picking Leon Rocky Edwards to get the win over Colby Covington, but I have viewed this as a pretty 50-50 fight since it was announced and flip-flop multiple times preceding this actual card. Now, I'm on Leon Edwards as of right in this moment here. At the press conference, Colby got the W. Leon, he broke his cool. He seemed like he was flustered in his head. He had his shades on. He was sitting there upset after Colby Covington said a pretty off-color remark, but unfortunately in the fight game, it's no holds barred with the shit talk, man. I'll reenact Leon real quick. Look, he'd been scolded by his 4th grade teacher. I like that he threw the water bottle the way of Colby Covington, though. That was good. Needed to happen. How's he settled it? Well, I'm going to pull up the pictures from weigh-ins and then talk about what Leon Edwards said at the weigh-in, which I actually really loved. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to pull up Colby Covington. Here is chaos on the scale. Good, in shape, as Colby is. Leon, good, in shape. They call him the most aesthetic man on the planet. At least that's what goes around in the YouTube sphere. He's got a pretty fucking small waist. He's definitely the most aesthetic guy on this fight card at the very least. He's definitely in the top tier of the UFC. Now, let's talk about what was said. Joe Rogan interviewed Leon, and I like that he mentioned what he said about my father. We're going to handle that in the octagon tomorrow. And the vibe that I got from Leon Edwards was controlled rage. I don't know how to describe it, but I think that moment is going to give him extra oomph to kill Colby Covington. So I'm not going to be pick flipping. I slept on it. That's why I told you guys if you were watching the live stream last night, wait for the weigh-in show. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm not going to let my emotions overtake me. I'm picking Leon Edwards to win. I'm feeling like decision is live, but something's telling me he might knock out Colby. I'm going with Leon. I'm feeling knockout right now. Now, I'm going against my initial call, though. I did pick decision, but the emotional side, the warfare that might ensue, I could see Leon trying to do damage. And his high kicks are tremendous. He's got good elbows inside. He's fast. I do think when Colby is caught on the feet, I can see him taking a fuckload of damage here with Leon Edwards. I'm hoping for a knockout. I'm thinking there's a knockout chance here. I'm kind of feeling knockout right now. I won't lie to you. Now, Leon is the pick. Nonetheless, method of victory, we'll look at the props. But minus 161 for Leon Edwards, Colby Covington plus 141. Do I want to go against my decision call? Someone's telling me last fight of the year, it's going to be spectacular. I'll just go Leon. I got to go Leon knockout. That's what I'm feeling inside. The emotions are taking over me in the weigh-in show, but it didn't go as far as to flip the pick. I actually felt like Leon held his composure beautifully at this weigh-in. He looked confident. He looks focused. I'm telling you, it's going to be controlled rage. And I really think he's going to fuck up Colby now. I'm kind of like leaning Leon a little bit more to do more damage than I thought before. Leon Edwards by knockout, plus 325. If you see him plus 4,000, bet it right now. Edwards by decision, plus 160. I feel like when the going gets tough with Colby Covington chain wrestling, what he said about his father, I'm telling you, now I'm thinking that might fuel Leon and give him an extra gas tank. A little reserves there just left for what he said. Yeah, we're going Leon Edwards to win. I'm kind of thinking he gets a TKO. We'll go Leon TKO, but decision is definitely possible here. And I called decision on Sunday. So if you are thinking decision, maybe you have the over there or something. Like, I'm not telling you you're in shit water and going to drown, all right? I think you got a shot. But Leon Edwards ultimately is the pick in the main event of the evening. We're riding with him. I'm sticking with my guns. Now, we're not done just yet. We're going to jump into the parlays. I'm going to jump it up right now. Let me pull them up on the screen. Parlay time, all right? Let's set it and let's make something happen. The post-weigh-in parlays. Okay. Shamil Gaziev should get the win. I'm going to add him to a post-weigh-in parlay. We're going to go Shamil Gaziev, and now I'm going to scroll down to the UFC. Alexandre Pantoja, plus 213. Dustin Jacoby, plus 329. Tagir Ulanbekov, plus 552. I see this as a pretty money 3 play, a little trifecta action. Throwing Shavkat, you still now get plus 656. If you did throw Leon at the top, plus 1144. And then if you said, fuck it, I'm going T-Ferg, let's go Psycho, we're at plus 4,380. Now, I'm not saying this is the safe call, okay? Safer side of things, Jacoby on your lineup with the Shavkat, but it's like minus 170 if you do it. Jacoby, Shavkat, Pantoja, you'll be in the plus money range. Throwing in underdogs, Shamil and Ferguson, it adds some excitement though. But I do think Shamil's going to win. I'm telling you, if Shamil loses to Buday, retire. Retire. If he loses to Buday, it's over. Done. My hype on him is done, and I think he should retire from mixed martial arts. Dead serious. Dead serious. Like if we just went with Ulanbekov, Jacoby, less heat, but still plus money, plus 108. Shavkat, plus 142. Pantoja plus 268. So you don't like my lock, Ulanbekov. You got Jacoby, Rakhmonov, Pantoja plus 142. And then you got Gaziev at the top, plus 396. That's a pretty good tag as well. Man, Leon Edwards on your lineup, plus 715, just so you can panic heading into the main event, so you can have your anxiety flowing through the roof. Now, I am not crazy about adding in the side of, some underdogs like Lipski or Kelleher. I think they might be better as separate bets, but if you want to degen it out and throw like a Kelleher, Gaziev, Rakhmonov, three-peat parlay together, that could be something. Right there, we're looking at plus 1181. But we got to call a lot, man. And I think that all of them hit. These are all my picks, and they are possible to all come through. But nonetheless, don't risk it all. Don't risk it all. Be smart. But just for shits and giggles, I'm going to do Lipski, Kelleher. We're at plus 586. If we had Ferguson and then also Gaziev, if I became the god of underdogs for this weekend, plus 4,825 for that 4 underdog parlay piece. Now, I am not highly recommending that. I think you're in high risk territory. I think it's better mixing in high confidence picks with maybe a dog or two in a parlay. If you're really looking to stretch, sure, you can go a little bit more nuts with it. But nonetheless, less is more. I hate how much I got to go up and down this damn page. I don't love throwing Thug Nasty in the lineup. You guys already know that. Not crazy about throwing Fili in the lineup, though I think he's going to win. Almeida is dangerous. He's a dangerous man, Almeida. Ulanbekov with an underdog. Damn, I got to go all the way up to Gaziev now. We'll just do it with Pantoja real quick. Ulanbekov, Pantoja, plus 130. Then also with the likes of Shamil Gaziev, plus 374. Decent little play. Brings everything to like the plus over 100 range for each one of them. That's not bad at all. But bet intelligently on the parlays. Don't throw everything at it. As you guys know with me, I'll tell you, keep it smart. Keep it safe. If we're going for a 2-fighter safer call, we'll go here. I don't know why. Even for the safer call, I'm kind of thinking I got to get wild, though. Kind of think I got to go nuts. Rakhmonov, Pantoja, minus 130. And then adding in Gaziev. I don't know. I just got a good feeling about the EV. But, the other parlays that dropped off are good. Maybe take Gaziev out of some of them. Jacoby and Pantoja, Jacoby, and freaking Rakhmonov is something that you can line up to. I left Jacoby out just for a moment and we'll add him in here. It's plus what, 396? Yeah. Bet intelligently, my people. I hope you guys enjoyed this UFC 296 weigh-in recap show, the final UFC weigh-in recap show of the year. Make sure you guys smash the like button if you guys haven't subscribed. Turn the post notifications on, guys. And if you don't have them on, put them on. Don't just leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video, because I got content dropping every damn day. Through this UFC break, I'll tell you guys, I'm going to be doing a shitload of live streams, and I'm going to be dropping news, reactions, / opinion videos. So there's not going to be a stop of content. I'll also be covering the Riyadh season boxing with Joseph Parker versus Deontay Wilder and Otto Wallin versus Anthony Joshua, because without fights, I don't know what I'd do with myself. So December 23rd, I'm doing a fight companion for that Riyadh season card, which I think that's going to be a pretty good time. Day before Christmas Eve, enjoy some high-level boxing on the channel. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in throughout the year with this week's Best MMA Bets, with my full card predictions, with this show here, especially the weigh-in recap show. I hope you guys have enjoyed the hell out of it. And more is coming in 2024. It's just going to keep getting better and better. So make sure you're locked in on the channel and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the picks in the content too, but let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments down below. If you have nothing to say in those comments, but just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. If you're not excited for the UFC off week, I got you covered. Keep it locked in right here on the channel. And if you have content ideas, maybe like, AJ, I want you to cover X video or Y or whatever, Z, let me know. I'm curious what the people are thinking. I got mad love for each and every one of you, closing in on 25,000 subscribers, which I cannot wait for. So thank you guys so much for the continued support. See you guys all for the Fight Companion on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Much love, everybody. Peace.